small there in the 6th to get some runners home.
Yes.
Do you like the way they executed that? 3
I
balls in
loved
one
it.
inning?
You know, I loved it. And you want these games to not come down to that, but we talk about it with our team all the time. Every one of these games is a little bit different. So you don't ever know what piece becomes the piece that allows you to win. We work on that stuff all the time, and it's nice to have it actually come up. And we did 3 or 4 different types of short game stuff, even stuff that I might not have done this year. But they get it, and when you're asking them to do it and they execute it like that, it makes the practicing become more relevant to them, because we're going to do the stuff we work on, and it helped us win a game today. And the conditions, it was just kind of a funny, to hit a ball, to really see a ball carry today, it had to be almost from the flag poles to the foul pole. Anything over here was just hanging up. You saw it. And Brannigan got one early, and it was just kind of a weird offensive day. There's the answer to that one.
Along those lines, your pitching staff does a phenomenal job. Another starter doesn't get out of the first inning, but the rest of the guys kind of take over from there. What do you like from the pitching staff?
Well, Radek needs to throw for us. And the starting role gives you the flexibility of how you warm up. And we wanted to give him that opportunity, because you're going to be the only guy that gets it when you start. So we thought that might help him settle in. And to be honest, from the dugout view, I thought his stuff looked okay. But the way they barreled a couple and laid off some of his breaking pitches, I don't know if it's as good as I thought. We'll go back and look at the video, but he's got a live arm, and he's going to help us this year and obviously beyond that. So he'll figure it out. The other guys that came out of the pen, I thought, who was next? McClinsky, really good command of his changeup and his slider, and his intensity is obviously good. He wants to be out there. And Finley extended his appearance. We could have started any of the guys, but we just thought it would help Radek a little bit to do it. Finley was good. I think the velocity ticked up maybe a little bit today, and his fastball has a lot of movement, so you get some obscure thing like I had never seen in my career, 2 pitches and 2 pop-ups to the catcher and back-to-back pitch. I don't think I've ever seen that. So you get some interesting things when he's on the mound. Denny's has gotten a little bit better. And Temple, he rolled his ankle in Loftus the Sunday we didn't play Virginia Tech. So all of the stuff that went on this weekend was to essentially buy him as much time before Sunday. And he hadn't seen hitters since, when would that have been? The Louisville. That's how long it had been. I didn't want to throw him Saturday in Tallahassee because, when you have a rolled ankle, one more day is a big deal. And he told us he was fine, but he said his foot was fine. He just wasn't on it. So we said if we have a chance today, we want him to go back out there and just get the rust off. So he did, and he was good. And our defense played sound, and it's a solid win. And you're glad that you can continue to put tallies in the win column, and I was proud of the way the guys executed and played today. It wasn't a loud, dynamic type game, but they're not all going to be that way, and you take every win you can get.
Coming out of Louisville and Virginia Tech last week, you said that you need to get the bullpen right.
Yeah.
The trip to Florida State today, do you think that you're using Denny's more? Finley continues to be consistent for you. Overall, do you feel like you've taken a step in the right direction?
We've taken a step in the right direction, no doubt. Do I feel like we have specific roles locked down? I do not feel like that. And there may not be many college programs that do, to be honest. But we have some pieces. It's the pitch execution. Like when the pitch execution is on point, the stuff is plenty good enough to get anybody out. That little stretch we had, it just wasn't executed well enough. And it's really the same group. Brannigan had a good outing in Tallahassee, and if you think about what we did, like Chuck and I, and not just Chuck and I, but when you're managing the bullpen, we got 4 outs out of the pen, out of the starter on Saturday, right? I think we got 4 outs out of Finley, and we got 1 out on Sunday. So when you're having to try to keep these guys in the right progression of getting warm but not too warm and what's the right matchup, it was probably the most impressive weekend of bullpen management. And it's the kids have to do it. Now, we're trying to walkie-talkie and get them where they need to get, but that's, I mean, how many outs is that we had to manage out of the bullpen in 2 days following a 12-inning game? It was a lot. It was very impressive. Do I feel like we've got it knocked down, locked down, what's going on down there? No, I don't. Did we mature a little bit and settle? Yes. Is it a finished product? It's not quite yet.
Brannigan had the rough patch. What did you do with him between then and this weekend when he was really, really good?
He's a little better in the windup, but...
Did you slow him down a little bit?
Yes, could you tell?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, the stretch, he gets so quick that the synchronization between his lower body and his upper body is not consistent. So he never gets himself like into a good balanced power position. I'm not saying he never does. It was rushing through that part of it. So the other day, Chuck and I both sat down there and we kind of timed him a little bit. Like, it's okay to be 1-4 in this setting. You can be 1-6 and feel what it's like to gather like you do over at third base when you gather and really get on top of one. The night in Loftus, he was throwing 5 or 6 pitches at 100 miles an hour. It was that slower, gathered type delivery in the stretch. That's what we worked on. Now, in his defense, he's still trying to figure this out a little bit, and he doesn't have the benefit of like settling in down here to trot out here. When you're going from third base in the situations we're really using him in, the intensity and the things speed up, and his actual mechanical stuff speeds up. He was better down there, no doubt. So we just try to time him and be, all right, we're not going to be 1-1-8. We're going to be 1-3-1-4, and that 1-3-1-4 to him feels like it's 1-7. And we weren't that concerned with the running part. We were concerned with dialing in and getting competitive strikes. And then the secondary pitches kind of play off the fastball. The better the fastball is, and that little changeup and that slider become more effective. So it was better. He's still learning that art, and you see the plays he makes at third base and some of the at-bats. He can't dedicate all of his time to just doing the work in the bullpen, so we try to mix and match his
But
time.
you need him, so you got.
Yeah, so we do some. We do both.
Yeah.
You know, and he's got to work things at the plate. So.
I would imagine good to get a veteran like Putz and a veteran like Cole, who kind of moved him down the lineup, and he certainly worked his way back up it.
Yeah, it was some good at-bats all weekend. And their arms, those 3 starting arms, that might be the best 3 starting lefties I've seen in any rotation in sequence like that. You know, I saw Drew Pomerantz when he was at Ole Miss, and I think Drew Smiley was a guy at Arkansas. Both those guys were in the big leagues, and Alex Wood at Georgia. But essentially, you had them all in 3 consecutive days. And like we battled through that. It was just a really impressive thing to watch those guys perform in that setting. They didn't bat an eye. And it started with Putz, and it started with Cole. It probably started with Cole, the 2-run homer in whatever inning that was. Like, somebody had to step up there and deliver, and he did, and kind of got us into it and got us going. But yeah, those guys are good. We're still not offensively, I can't quite find the consistency yet. But the important thing is you're finding ways to win.
Moving Coetzee up to 2, you hadn't tried that before.
Well, Miller was out, and I didn't want Penny with a starting left-handed pitcher. Penny could be okay in the 2-hole, but I didn't want his, you know, he was clearly going to face a lefty, so I thought if we could get him down there and let Coetzee try to bat second. I didn't want him, when Cole was on it like that, I just wanted to leave him right where he was. So, anyway.
What have you liked from Kimball's last couple outings from last week?
We're seeing just pitch execution. The stuff is very tough. It's tough to hit. That fastball, the profile of that, and all the data stuff you pull, it appears that it's climbing up through the zone at you a little bit. It's not spin-induced. It's more like the angle that he throws from. He's so wiry and loose. Like, he gets down that mound and the ball's climbing up on the hitter. So he can throw that fastball like by you and above you. Like, some guys sink it. His, like, it's It's interesting. So then when he can get either of his 2 breaking pitches, it gets people off the fastball. He hasn't gotten a ton of swing and miss with the slider, but it's enough to get people off the fastball. And I mean, to go out there and finish. Didn't he finish the game, the one game? Saturday? Friday?
Yeah,
No.
Friday.
Is it Friday?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Because Rayo, right? Like, and we're learning. Like, to see Rayo, like, you guys have seen him longer than me probably, than you have. To see where he is and to close out that game. He finished Friday, didn't he?
Yeah,
Rayo,
was Friday,
yeah.
Kimball was Saturday.
That's impressive. And Kimball, like, you could kind of sense it, like, watching it. Like, this guy's, he's got it. He's got it. So let him go. And they just continued to pitch their way right through it. It was impressive. Like, his demeanor, there's some energy when he's on the mound. Like, the guys seem like they feed off it a little bit. Been good.
You said, I mean, your team didn't bat an eye at Florida State, and coming off a 4-game losing streak, I mean, if it was ever going to happen, going
Tough.
on the road, yeah, I mean,
It's
that
tough.
could have been a moment, and they didn't
Not at
hesitate at all.
Not at all. It was a tough stretch. And I told my wife, like, and I'll tell you guys this, and it's a stretch, but I mean, I know the one game at Louisville was 1-1 or something going into the 7th grade, then we lose the game 8-1 or 7-1 or whatever it was. But to be honest with you, we could have won all of those games. And the scores don't look that way, but had we executed, it would have been a similar result to what we saw in the Virginia Tech game, the same thing, and poor Brannigan. Just, it was a tough little stretch, but you know what? If they come like that and you get punched hard like we did, to see that kind of response, it just tells you a lot about the kids in there. Like, they just roll with it, man. And they played hard, and they played well down there. And again, tonight they played well. It wasn't a dynamic, loud, voluminous, like, explosion type win, but we need to be able to win games like this. And then the dynamic ones, you hope they come here and there to give you just a little more relaxation after some of these weekends.
It's kind of nice, like you go to Florida State and you win 2 2-run games and one 1-run game.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it'd be nice to beat them by more, but it's also good to go in somebody's yard and
to win.
to win those games and hold on. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know that the last time we'd won a series there was. I don't know.
We've never won a series in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guys I don't know that kind of stuff, but they might. So, like, tasting that and finishing it off the way they finish it off, it says a lot. I think you told me it's the first time we've swept the top 5 team in the history of Notre Dame baseball. So those are unique, and you want them to build confidence off of that. Like, I need them to believe and think they're doing things that haven't been done here before. And those were tough. Like, you're tired. Like, Tuesday, it's an extension of the weekend almost more than it is like the new week.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, and the bullpen guys and their response, and some of them pitched multiple times. It was good. It's good.
Coach, I know Nick Drew is someone who hasn't played a ton so far this year, but